Okay, so here's the thing about Tonal. It's really cool. I haven't been this excited about a piece of equipment since the time I got my first barbell. So needless to say, I'm gonna be doing a Tonal review video pretty soon, but I figured I'd give you guys the top 10 features that kind of set Tonal apart from the competition because, in my opinion, they're getting all the things right. And that's what we want, all the things. So stay tuned, we're about to go into the top 10 list, coming right up. Okay, so the first feature I want to talk to you guys about is the fact that Tonal actually remembers all of your weights for you, keeps track of everything, and adjusts the weight for you automatically based off of your performance and also based off your last workout. So you don't have to remember what you did the last workout, Tonal remembers for you. And it also counts reps and sets. So, you know, shots fired at personal trainers, right? Because that's the joke, right? Personal trainers only count, they count for you, they count reps, and I'm a personal trainer and I hate counting reps. I have to do it for myself. In fact, the only counting I like to do is counting on my clients to count for me. At least that's what I tell them. Tonal also helps you keep on track that way too. It also keeps track of your rest times for you. So when you're in between sets and you're on your phone and you're kind of messing around, all of a sudden you look over and it's been 5 minutes, right? And the workout has passed you by and you've cooled down and you're no longer warmed up. Well, it actually keeps track of rest times automatically. So I usually recommend people have rest times between 30 seconds and 90 seconds. So a minute passes by on the Tonal and I'm right back into the workout. So no time is wasted either tinkering around with the weights because when it does guess your weight, it's very close to what I would actually pick about 95% of the time, which is pretty cool that not only does it automatically adjust the weight based off your performance, but it's actually pretty close when it does it too. The other thing that sets Tonal apart is they actually have unique modes that you can use. They have a smart flex mode, they have an eccentric mode, and they have a chains mode. And that's gonna change the resistance on the exercise at different parts of the motion. By default, you can just kind of leave it so that there's no mode on there. You know, it's just like a static amount of resistance. So if I'm doing like flies and I choose 20 pounds, it's gonna stay at 20 pounds. But if I want to turn on Smart Flex, it'll actually change the amount of weight as I'm doing the fly dynamically. Alternatively, I could use eccentric mode, which is going to be like usually during the lowering phase when the muscle is lengthening, that's where there's going to be more resistance on there. So that's really useful if you're doing something like a pull down. You're doing a pull down, you want it to be easy. And for me, I actually have so much weight when I do a pull down, it actually lifts my body up. So it's perfect for me because I got to that point where I'm doing pull downs and I can't even pull myself down because it weighs more than my body. But if I put eccentric mode on, it'll actually make it easier on the way down so I can get the weight down here, and then it'll make it harder on the way up. So I got to fight on the negative portion, right? Or the eccentric portion of the movement, the eccentric muscle contraction. And then there's also chains mode, which is really good when you're doing things like deadlifts or like something where when you're trying to get to like the lockout position and you want it to be harder. So basically what it does is it mimics like when you're using chains that are attached to a barbell. Like you're lifting a barbell and the chains are getting lifted off of the ground at the same time as you're doing the motion. So as you push, like say you're doing bench press, you would go to push the chains off of the ground, and as you go it gets heavier because more of the chains get picked up. So that's actually really cool, and in a future video I'll probably show you like which exercises I like to do chains mode on, which exercises that I like to do eccentric mode on, and then the rest of the time I usually like to use like smart flex mode. And smart flex really is smart. So if you look at something called strength curves, there's actually like say I'm doing a bicep curl. At the bottom of the motion, my bicep is, it's almost fully lengthened, so it's not very strong. But as I start to do the curl here, I get more, it's a more optimal position for me to do the contraction. Like my muscle is stronger here than it is here, right? So what Smart Flex will do when you put on Smart Flex mode is it'll make it easier here, and then it'll make it harder here, and then it'll make it easier again when you get all the way to here, baby, because that's when it's actually the easiest. And that's just based off the strength curve of a bicep. So every muscle has their own strength curve, and I think that's what they use to make all these smart flex modes, which kind of takes the work out of it for you. and it makes it more interesting and makes it feel a little different than anything you've ever tried. The other thing that sets Tonal apart from the competition is that every time that you do something, there's a little video on the screen, and I'll show you guys some B-roll footage here of what it looks like. But as you're doing the workout, it actually shows you a video so you can do some form feedback. So whether you're in solo mode, doing a custom workout, or whether you're using one of their pre-made workouts, doesn't matter. There's always a picture of one of the trainers doing the workout with you so that you can look at it. And I can also, when I'm working with my clients, I can instruct them. For some of my clients, they're brain injuries, so they're much better with a full visual, and I can't just jump in there and do the exercise for them. I say, look at how they're keeping their back straight, and look how they're not bending their arms and things like that. I can actually point to the video as a reference, and actually really helps people, able-bodied or disabled, to try to visualize the movement, and also, even without me talking to them, they can look at the screen and get some form feedback. And you don't have to use the video if you don't want to look at that, and if all you want to look at is that black screen, because the black screen is actually more reflective, so you can check yourself out. It's not like I ever do that. All right, let's go down to the next feature. The next feature that I really like is the looks of it, the aesthetics, and how much space it takes, or rather, how much space it doesn't take. Tonal is extremely low profile, so it takes up no space in your home. It barely even comes off the wall. You don't really have to find a good spot for it, although you do want to have enough space out in front of you. And it's a pretty slick looking design. It basically looks like just a giant smartphone just chilling on your wall. And with its slick design, it doesn't make it an eyesore. So you don't have to relegate it to the basement or the garage gym. You can actually get away with having it in the living room or the bedroom. For people who just want to stick it anywhere in the house, you could have one in every room, right? But it's just nice for people who don't have a garage gym, or maybe they want to work out in the basement and you don't have a finished basement, so you want to work out in a comfortable environment, and that's why I like it. It barely takes up any space, looks great, great design, and it works beautifully. Okay, the next feature I like is that there actually are some pretty unique movements that are not really possible with traditional cables, such as the barbell bench press. So when I first tried out the Tonal, this kind of blew me away. I was like, I'm used to doing bench press with a barbell, and I'm used to doing bench press with cables, but I've never been able to do a barbell bench press using cables. So normally you wouldn't be able to get under the bar at all with the weight loaded, but you can with Tonal because you get the bar underneath you, and the bar is that thing that's hanging up by the wall right there. Let me go get it for you. Hoo-yah! So I have the bar right here. This is the Tonal bar. It has these little attachments on there, and they attach to the cable, right? And all you gotta do is you put this little doohickey on here, which is the button that controls everything. You put the button anywhere you want on the bar that's comfortable. Usually it's better to kind of slide it down to where your hands are. So you get on here, you get ready to do your bench press, and you hit this button here. And then as soon as you hit the button, it actually engages the weight. So you can do your bench press, and then when you're done, boom, you click the button again, get out from underneath the bar, and that's something that's just not possible with traditional cables. Another thing that I like that you can do is hip thrusts. So hip thrusts, I'll show you guys some footage of that, but basically you put the barbell over your hips, you do a thrust, and it's so much easier than traditional barbell hip thrusts. Although I should say, they do include this handy dandy little Tonal, it's like a rolling pad, but basically what you can do is you can put the bar in through it like this, and then put this onto your hips, and then you can push with this, and that way the barbell won't dig into your hips. Although I do recommend that you use an actual barbell pad, which I'll show you in a second here with some B-roll footage. But use what they got. Anyways, it's just nice to have a little bit easier setup time with those hip thrusts. And as another example of something that you can only do with the Tonal that you normally can't do with traditional cables is that, say you want to do a chest fly. So you get out there, normally when you do a chest fly, you got to put all the weight on there, you got to get on both sides. It's like this big battle, and as it gets really, really heavy, it becomes more and more difficult for you to push against it because you got to really walk your way out there, and the weight wants to just pull you back. But with Tonal, what you can do is use their little handles. Their handles have these little smart buttons on them, okay? And what you do is you get the cables, you walk out, you get in position, there's no weight on there, and then when you're ready, you just click this little button, and you're off to the races, you're good to go. So you gotta do your flies, and then when you're done, you're exhausted, you don't have to worry about it pulling you back and hurting your shoulders. All you gotta do is just click this button, and you're done. So it's actually a lot easier than any other kind of traditional cable machine that I've used. So those are just a few examples. There's tons of examples of creative uses that you can do using their unique equipment, and I'm excited to see if there's any other accessories that they're going to use that come out in the future that use these same kind of smart buttons. And the only thing that doesn't have a smart button is their tricep rope cable, but that's okay. I actually got a little accessory that I bought, and that accessory actually lets me take the button doohickey right here, and it lets me just slot it into this little foot pedal. And I got this thing off of Etsy. It's kind of cool. It's black and blue, which are my colors. You clip this thing on here, so I don't know if you guys can see that. Put that there, and then when you step on it, it'll actually engage the button. Although I would like to see Tonal actually implement this in their lineup, like actually start selling like a little foot pedal like this, so I don't have to use a little 3D printed one from Etsy. I can actually just use one right from their website. So Tonal should probably get on that, but I'll save that for my review video on the pros and cons for Tonal. Now the other thing I like about Tonal is that they get the small things right. So what do I mean by that? Just the little things, these little features that I normally wouldn't expect them to actually get right. Let me give you an example. The machine does not care which arm you use for alternating rows. So like you might be following a workout and they have you do a row with this arm, and then you might want to switch to the other arm. It doesn't care what arm you start with. It doesn't care if you use the right arm of the machine or the left arm of the machine. It's just smart. It figures out what you want to do, and it doesn't interfere with you. It's smart. And another example of something that it gets right is that when you're doing a workout, the last 3 reps have these little tones. It'll go boop, boop, boop. And when you get to that last one, you know that you're actually done with the set. You don't have to keep on like glancing back or have to worry about counting reps. And another example is that the machine actually remembers the stop position when you engage the button on something like a bent over row. And so let's say I'm down at my shin level and I don't want to be like straining my back by going super deep. All I gotta do is press that button, and then it'll remember that the starting position is at my shins, and then it'll only engage the weight past that point, and it will stop even with a little bit of slack left in the line, which is kind of cool that it actually remembers that position and it gets the little things right like that. And the other thing that I like is that it actually engages the smart modes like smart flex mode and eccentric mode and chains mode on like the 2nd or 3rd rep of the set. So when you first start the set, it doesn't use these special modes, but then when you get to like rep 3, all of a sudden it'll kick on. So it lets you get used to the movement first and kind of experiment with it, and then it gets a little bit harder. So that's kind of a nice touch. And the last small thing is that I like how that it lets you start the sets early or finish them late, depending on whether or not you are a little slow or if you're a little bit faster. And that brings me to my next point, which is that the playback is really good. So if you need to pause or rewind, it's perfect because it keeps you moving right along. But if you fall behind, there's no stress. And if you fall behind on a set, it actually loops the video and resumes it without missing a beat. I mean, this thing's so smooth that a lot of Tonal users don't even realize it's a loop video. I was actually on Facebook, and there was this lady who was posting on there, and she thought that the instructor was just really good, but she's like, oh yeah, it's taken me like, I'm on rep 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm like, you know what, I could keep up with this chick, I can do it. And then she finally realizes that it's actually just like a loop video. So I thought that was actually kind of funny that she didn't notice that. And if you aren't looking right at the screen, and even if you are looking right at the screen, it's so seamless when it transitions into the loop part at the end that you might not notice that they're actually just doing the last reps as a loop thing, and they're constantly changing camera angles and stuff. But as soon as you either press the button to stop it or you set the weight down and it figures out that you finished the set, as soon as you finish the set, it instantly goes back to that footage of them saying, okay, good job, and let's go on to the next exercise, totally seamlessly, and I love it. So that's the thing about it. Everything is seamless. You can switch really quickly between all the different exercises, and that brings me to my next point about Tonal, is that I love that there's quick switching between the different exercise movements, such as going from a deadlift to an overhead press to a bent over row, all without switching the position. So all those are bottom position movements. So it's really easy for you to switch between those exercises because they're all in the same position. And I've noticed that my workouts are actually shorter and more efficient than than my normal workouts because it just keeps you moving right along. And for me, I need to stay focused during the workout because I have attention deficit disorder, I have ADD, and also I spend less time resting in between sets because I basically spend less time resting and getting distracted by my smartphone, and the rest time counter is a nice touch. Also, one thing that I like about it, it keeps you moving along, but if you notice that there's a movement that you don't like, they actually have movement replacement options for exercises. So if that particular variant doesn't suit you, doesn't suit your needs, or maybe you start with that movement but you change your mind midway through, it doesn't matter what variant you want. It brings up a slick little menu that you can peruse your way through, and you just pick something and then it remembers that, and it's all very seamless. And so that brings us on to our last final feature that I really like that Tonal has that sets it apart from the competition, and that's the fact that you can do partner workouts. So at first it was a little sketchy on this feature. I thought it was just only for the body weight movements, but I think they did some sort of update, and now every time I try to do partner workouts, it's great. Whether I'm using one of their pre-programmed workouts or whether I'm using one of the ones that I made using the Tonal app, which that's another feature that's really great, is the Tonal app. You can just go into the app, set a little workout, send it to your Tonal, and then it's right there. And so say I'm doing my custom workouts and I'm like, okay, I want to do this with my mom, or I want to do this with one of my friends or one of my clients, or let's say that I have two of my clients, they're a husband and wife. Shout outs to Margie and Jim. You guys are going to be doing this stuff in the future, I'm sure. And Tonal already remembers everything based off of their strength assessment that they did and their previous workout experiences with those exercises. And then it alternates between the two different exercises, two different weights. I don't got to change anything. I don't need to back out of any menus and switch between the people. And I don't have to use the free lift mode because it remembers all their weights for me, which is great because then I don't have to worry so much about remembering what weight they did and asking them that. All I have to think about is the movements that I want to do, and boom, there you go. It's all seamless, it all just flows really quick, and I can actually incorporate the Tonal cable exercises in with the rest of their program. Oh, and one more feature as kind of a bonus feature, just finally being able to work out in the comfort of your own home and, do deadlifts in your socks, that kind of thing. That's kind of a big deal. So I think comfort is a huge part of doing home workouts that just kind of separates it from the gym. You don't got to worry about prying eyes. You don't have to worry about being judged. You just focus on your workout, and yeah, I really do like working out in my socks. And when you do leg exercises, I actually really recommend that you guys do that. And that's just like a little tip, is that whenever you're doing leg exercises, it's good to feel the ground underneath your feet and kind of almost grab it like a claw with those foot muscles and really build up those muscles of the feet. And if you guys like those kind of little tips for exercise, I'm going to be doing like a Tonal tips series where I just make a playlist of a bunch of small little videos, maybe 2 to 5 minutes long, and they're just basically showing you guys how to use these exercises on the Tonal. And you don't have to have a Tonal to benefit from these tips too. So when you go to your gym and you want to use the cable machines, or whether you're just trying to learn how to do Bulgarian split squat with proper form and what to think about and all the cues of that you might not even hear the Tonal people say. And if you want to see more of my videos, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and click on that bell for all the notifications, because if you don't click on that little bell icon to get your notifications and put it on all, it's not going to push my videos to you because I don't have like a big channel. But if you want to see all my videos when they come out and get a notification, just click that little bell there and ring the bell for me. So anyways, I'm going to be doing some more videos on some other reviews coming up, but if you guys have a suggestion for a future video you want to see, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching, appreciate you guys, and remember, you only have one life to lift. I'll catch you in the next one.